So you know I told you I've been going to these underground poker games? No Limit Texas Hold'em.
Let me guess. You've lost everything but your shirt, and now I'm gonna have to cover your rent for who knows how long.
It's not like that. Not exactly, at least.
How is it?
It's way worse.
You were that guy at a game last week, right? The poker game, the one that got knocked out by the cops.
You got 1 week. 1 week? Or else you and I are gonna have problems, you hear me? You don't want problems with me.
Why don't you leave him alone, Enzo?
What a wonderful surprise. Hey, Marisol, I didn't see you there, sweetheart.
Are you Pitt? What do you want? I'm looking for a guy who can solve problems, if you know what I mean. Only ones that are worth solving.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And thank you for having me at this festival.
Do you have a question?
So what inspired you to kind of create this film?
Well, I actually always wanted to tell a story that took place in the South Bronx, from the Bronx, and I just think it's an area that you don't typically see on film. And I guess the first inception of an idea was geek versus thug, which I thought was something that intrigued me. So that was the first germination of the idea.
I have a question. I have to know, the whole film was excellent, but I have to know what went into the cinematic magnificence that was the Billy dancing. What did you put in John Vogle's pants? Was it a guinea pig, a hamster, or a full-size rat to get him to move like that?
That's funny. You know, there's a funny story behind that. My brother was in the back, and he was actually there. So I've been friends with John Vogel. Aside from the other actors, which we mostly cast, John is a friend of mine. He was a former roommate of mine. And
you are the roommate. I can't see it any other way.
My bachelor party was in the Dominican Republic, and we were at a club one night, and we were all just hanging out and just having drinks. And John one night was just dancing, just so wildly, like. And a friend of mine was like, "Man, that guy is just dancing like he's in a dark room by himself." Nobody's watching it. So I think that actually inspired.
So please tell me it was nominated in choreography.
Yeah. And so I think, yeah, that was the inspiration for it.
Any other questions?
I really love how you had the different perspectives of the characters and the multiple storylines. So you see the same scene kind of repeat itself in slightly different ways from different POVs. Did you plan in advance kind of exactly which shots you're going to use for which storylines, or did you just kind of shoot a lot of coverage and then pieces together, or how'd you go about that?
That's a great question. Because that decision sort of came late in the process, as far as we were going to shoot this film just chronologically, and kind of late in the game, I was like, hey, how about we just, don't shoot it chronologically? But I always loved the idea of exploring different perspectives in general, and I think that's part of the undercurrent of the theme of this film, is just not judging a book by its cover in general. And so that is something we planned out a little bit, but a lot of it did come together in post-production. We had a very unique sort of strategy of post-production with it.
I think that really works for the feel you wanted to have for the film. It fits right in with that spaghetti western type thing that you were trying to do. I really think that doing it that way really firmly puts it in that area.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I just wanted to comment on the beauty of the building with the skyline behind. I love that effect.
Thank you.
The building where they lived.
Yeah,
and the colors in the doors, it was very beautiful.
Thanks. Yeah, that was where I used to live in the South Bronx, and where our studio was at the time. So I was no longer living there, but that was Alphabet City Films or home base.
So you wrote it, right?
I did, yes, along with Mark Marini.
So how far was the original script to what you finished up with?
It's a good question, because so originally we anticipated that we were going to improvise quite a bit of the film, especially the dialogue, and so at first I was almost solely going to work from an outline, and it came together miraculously quick. I mean, I had the idea for this movie March of that year, and then by July we were shooting, and so I think that's a pretty quick turnaround for just having the first idea and then shooting. I mean, post-production took a lot longer, but so I guess to answer the question, well, we were gonna just kind of at first just work from an outline, but then I thought that might be too risky, so let's work from a script, but I wanted to encourage the actors to improvise, and so that's basically what happened.
One follow-up.
Sure.
The music was great.
Thank you.
Did you add it to the music, or how did that work out?
So the guys that did the score, they did an outstanding job. They were sort of part of the inception of the film. I knew I wanted to work with them. I had worked with them before on a couple of my shorts, and I know they always wanted to do something in the field of Western, and so I was giving them things that I was inspired by, and so then they were writing tracks well before the movie was finished, and then at some point I had sort of their rough draft, and we were cutting to those scenes. But yeah, it was definitely all original score for the film.
All right, well, we'll move right into the 10 o'clock because we are right there. Thank you.
Thanks again, guys.